Hi, welcome to this unusual We Coach Crypto live stream, because today the student is becoming the master and I am going to be interviewing Funsho. So my name's Alan, and at the beginning of this year I was looking around for some long-term investment opportunities and I discovered crypto. So after playing around with Coinbase a little bit, buying some Bitcoin and realizing that this is quite interesting, this is going up in value, I should maybe learn a bit more about this. I did some Googling, as you do, and I found the guys at We Coach Crypto. And since then, I've been on a bit of a journey of discovery, and I've been learning all about this, and I've been working with Funsho and Dean, and they've been amazing. They really, really helped me to understand more about this. And obviously, there is a lot to understand about crypto. It's such a interesting, exciting, evolving, but sometimes quite complicated area. And I'm really grateful that I found them. There's a lot of volatility in the market. There's a lot of things that change rapidly, so it's been really, really useful working with the guys and just finding out what's been going on. But one of the things that struck me is more people should find out about this. More people should learn about it, because there's some great opportunities here, and I think everyone will benefit from understanding a bit more about it. So what we decided to do today is, I want to try and pass on some of the things that I've been learning and to help other people understand it. So we decided that I'm going to be the beginner today, despite I've learned a good bit about crypto so far this year. And I'm going to ask Funsho a little bit about some of the things that people who are really new to the space might want to know about it. So with that said, I'll hand it over to Funsho to introduce himself, seeing as how I hijacked his live stream, and then we can get it. Over to you, mate.
Thank you. Firstly, thanks, Alan. Appreciate it. And a lot of kind things that you've said there. I'm Funsho. I'm from We Coach Crypto, and I'm a cryptocurrency consultant, and I help people to understand what cryptocurrency is and help them on that journey of investment to make sure that they don't make the same mistakes that I made years ago.
Awesome. And okay, great. Well, with that intro, let's dive into our first question, which I'm hoping this shouldn't be too tough for you. Now, the main thing that people ask me about is, most people have heard of Bitcoin, right? Some people have heard of other things. But the main thing is, most people ask me, what is crypto? Is it Bitcoin? Is Bitcoin crypto? How would you explain that?
That's a really good question, and I think there's a short answer and there's an extremely long answer, depending on how deep you want to go into it. But for me personally, what I tend to say to people is, you have to think about Bitcoin, because Bitcoin was the first one that was there. Okay, that was created in 2009, and ultimately the short answer is it's a digital or electronic peer-to-peer currency. And the great thing about cryptocurrency and why it's so unique and so valuable is really the sovereignty that's behind it, number one, because it allows you to become your own bank and it gives you financial freedom. But then on top of that, it's the fact that it's completely decentralized. And what that means is that the middle person has been removed entirely. So the bank is no longer there. So you're now in a position to be able to transact with other people and businesses globally at very fast speeds, at very low costs, without the need of a bank anymore. And I think that is mind-blowing, that we're in a position now where we're able to do things like that. So that's sort of my short answer. Obviously, you can go into it a lot more. You can talk about the cryptography, the blockchain technology, how it actually works. But ultimately, what cryptocurrency is, how you would do your online payments, from your bank to someone else's bank. It's similar, but you're removing the bank from it entirely.
Yeah. I mean, that's and that was one of the things that struck me about crypto at first as well, is the first time you actually if you actually use cryptocurrency to pay for something, there's just the speed, the clarity, the ease, the control that you have is just amazing. So okay, I can see in the future,
Definitely.
In 10 years' time, we're going to be, buying our hoverboards with the, crypto directly, and it'll be awesome, full control. But it's even happening, today. But the big reason that most people are interested in crypto, like right now, is because you can make money from it, right? And there's different ways to make money from it. There's people that invest in it for the long term. There's people that trade in it. So obviously, like, part of what you guys do is you provide education to people about how they would go about these different types of things. So could you talk a little bit about, like, the different types of strategies for how people actually get involved in crypto and eventually they'll make money from it?
Yeah, of course. I mean, there's a lot of different ways that people can actually make money with cryptocurrency, but to try and keep it simple, you've got two clear ways to be able to get yourself started and invest in cryptocurrency. And the first one is buy and hold. Okay, that buy and hold strategy, it's withstood the test of time. It's been done in the stock market, and it's you buy something and then over time it goes up in value. It's very similar. So in terms of what we do and the services that we offer specifically for buy and hold, it's about building a portfolio, because diversification is so important. You can buy one single asset and it can go up in value, but the problem that you have is if it drops down in value, you want to have yourself in a number of different assets that are likely to perform well based on the research and the analysis that you've undertaken for those specific assets, and then bring those together so that if one's not performing so well, the other ones can carry it. It's looking at different growth sectors as well is extremely important, because it's all right you investing in one aspect of it, but the further you come down the rabbit hole in cryptocurrency, you start realizing that there are so many other areas that are going to see explosive growth or are currently going through explosive growth. So, you take DeFi, for example, you take the NFT marketplace, you take oracles, you take cloud, you take gaming. If you pick the right projects, then when certain ones aren't performing so well, the other ones are carrying that portfolio for you. So over time, you're going to see more growth long term, having that kind of strategy moving forward. Also, market timing as well is critical, as you well know, Alan. There are times where everyone is screaming from the rafters about how great crypto is, and you think, the famous quote "to the moon," and everyone thinks that everything's going to fly up, and that's the time that you've got to be thinking about taking some form of profit out. And then during those massive dips that we have, because let's be completely honest, this market's extremely volatile. There are times where the market will be aggressively going up by hundreds of percent, thousands of percent in certain projects, and then there's times where it can fall down just as quickly. But what we found is, over time, historically, it's only gone one way, and that's just been an upwards trajectory. So in terms of strategies for long-term holding, you've got to think about your portfolio, you've got to think about the diversification, you've got to think about market timing, you've got to think about liquidity, you've got to think about rebalancing. There's a lot of things that, if they're applied correctly, are going to mean that you're going to have a far better chance of success, having maximized your profits, versus walking into this blindly and just buying a couple of coins that, Bitcoin, for example, because everyone's heard of it, and then maybe a couple because your mates apparently bought them and made a few quid from them. So, it is important to have a strategy in place. You've got to think about your exit strategy. You've got to think about the duration that you're looking at. If you're saying long term, we're not talking about a month. This is like, you need to be thinking a year, 18 months minimum, where you've got capital that you can afford to lose as well, that you can have on the sideline, that you're not going to need anytime soon, that you can put away and wait for that growth to happen. So that's the buy and hold side. And that's something that in this world we call hodl. And it's quite funny, actually. HODL, which stands for Hold On for Dear Life, it's actually somebody made a mistake. They had typed into a chat HODL, but they'd meant to type hold, and it just stuck, and it's become like a massive thing in the crypto world. And it's like a, well, you see all the memes yourself, Alan, but yeah, that's the buy and hold side. And then with trading, I mean, there's an element of trading that comes into this regardless, because you're going to have to trade to get your portfolio built in the first place. And if you're rebalancing that portfolio, i.e. you're selling some of it to take some profit and then adding more during dips and corrections, there is an element of trading, but it's a much more hands-off process. And for what we do, what's great about that is it's like a fully managed service if you want it that way. Obviously, we tailor it to each individual. But if you're the kind of person that hasn't got the time, but you've got some capital on the sideline, you've seen the opportunity that's there with crypto, and you need someone that can help you to build that, get you onboarded onto an exchange, get you into the right type of projects, and then keep a close eye on it and let you know if there's anything that needs to change and make sure that we go through those changes with you, then that's what we do. But on the trading side, this is much more hands-on. This is something where you need to be keeping an eye on the news, you need to be watching out and looking at the charts and understanding these charts and understanding the graphs, understanding market cycles, understanding different moving averages. There's a lot to it when it comes to trading, and I think it's extremely important to explain as well that when the market's moving up, everyone thinks they're a great trader, and it's not the case. I can assure you, everybody thinks they're a great trader when the market's moving up. The minute the market crashes, or you have a severe correction, that's when people realize what kind of skill set they actually have, because this is not something you can just walk into blindly or with no experience. And one good thing with our trading program that we offer is the fact that we've got traders that have got over 4 years of experience in there. These are pro traders, they're in the markets daily. They understand how the market cycles work, they understand the charts, they understand how certain cryptocurrencies work and perform. So as a result of that, we built a course around that, which we've got video walkthroughs where people can obviously look at all of the different aspects that are needed in order to be a good cryptocurrency trader, to do swing trades. And then on top of that, we've got our support group, and we also have trade alerts that we put out regularly, which you know about, Alan. And those trade alerts that we put out, we actually tell you guys what coins we're getting into, what price we're buying them at, what all of the sell levels are, what percentage of your portfolio you should be allocating to it. And then if we ever have any severe corrections and we can see that they're going to happen, then we also share that information too, to make sure that you guys can cash out and be sat there in a stable coin like USDT waiting, and then as the market's dropping down, you scale back in, accumulating, so that when it bounces back up, you take advantage and profit from that too. So there, for me, the sort of main differences and what we offer from a service perspective.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to kind of, I don't think I could have sort of asked you any additional questions about that, because you covered everything so comprehensively there. But you obviously, there's a lot, I think it was a really good, simple explanation of that, but there's a lot of like jargon in there as well, right? Which, and so like I'm trying to summarize like with my kind of beginner hat on, making sure I understand. So like HODL, basically like invest for the long term, essentially is like have a diversified portfolio of different digital assets that you're going to like sit on for a period of time, at least sort of a year, 18 months or whatever. And, there might be some management along the way of taking some profits, reinvesting that. But essentially you're going to sit and wait. It's pretty hands off, right? And you're going to sit and sort of wait, and it goes up. So that's one. I'm simplifying it down a lot here, stripping out a lot of the stuff that you said. And I know you guys provide these services, and obviously I've kind of worked with you as well had a positive experience with that. And then your other side of that is trading, where it's basically you're looking for more short-term returns. You're basically looking for returns in sort of days and weeks rather than kind of months and years. And it's a more active thing where you're having to constantly place orders, buy and selling, etc., and on the go. And again, obviously you guys provide that service, and it's a good service as well. I can testify to that. And so,
thank you.
So there's couple of like really good, like there are two like strategies that you can use in the market. So like some of the other things that often come up like from a beginner perspective is like, because a lot of things are in the news right now about crypto, right? There's like a lot of people are like, wanting, like saying they're buying Lambos, and they put money into like these like meme coins, like Doge being the most famous one because Elon Musk has backed it. But you've had like every other kind of like coin under the sun, right? It's like baby Doge, like micro Doge, mega Doge, and like everyone's created a clone of this. All these things are making they're crazy, I know, but they make the news and people get excited by that stuff, and then they're like they send about screenshots of people that made 10,000% return in a day on one of these things. But I think like because of that, it's quite hard as a beginner, like coming into this space, to all of that stuff sounds too good to be true, right? And to be honest, like the person that made 10,000%, and you didn't hear about the 1,000 people that like lost, whatever they put into it. But like as somebody like coming into the market, like what are the types of returns like? And because most people, if they're investing in like traditional finance, got like Dean did a really good video about like comparison with an ISA. You can get 0.5% on your money in an ISA. But obviously you've got inflation working against you there, so which is about 2%. But what are the sort of returns? I mean, personally, like I've had some really good returns on some of the stuff in my portfolio, like 5-6 times on some projects, which has been amazing. But I mean, what are the types of returns that people could like expect coming into this crypto space? Like what's what's the real talk around about this? Not like people buying baby Doge and getting $1 trillion.
Honestly, I mean, I have to be completely honest. It's so easy to get drawn into this whole, you can earn 10,000, 20,000% if you bought Dogecoin this time 5 years ago on Thursday, you could have made a fortune. That's all well and good, but it's the hype, and the new people follow the hype. Proper investors out there, smart investors out there, they actually want to hear real figures. They want a good idea of it. And for me personally, what I turn around and say to people, because it's realistic, okay, within a year to 18-month period, is you should be looking at sort of a 7 to 10 times on your money. And that is realistic. And the reason it's realistic is if you go back historically and look at the performance of the crypto market, okay, even if you just bought Bitcoin alone or Ethereum alone, and these are the top two, you'd be looking at similar, if not better, return on investment. But when you start having a portfolio that's built for you, where you're actually looking at different projects that have come onto the market that are in a growth sector that are about to boom, and we go off and we do all that research and analysis into these. We look at the tokenomics of these coins, we look at the partnerships that are out there, we look at the community and speak to them, we look at the developers, the whole team behind it. And if we can identify early on, like for example with Solana and Thorchain and many others that I can mention that I know Alan, if you catch those early, there's ridiculous gains that you can get on some of these coins. But if you're going to be realistic, and I'm putting my head on the chopping board for my brand, 7 to 10 times is an expectation that I would have for somebody's portfolio that I'm building for them in a 12 to 18-month period. However, if you start having a few riskier projects in there, then you could be looking at 12 to 20 times on your initial investment. And that's me trying to be as reserved and fair as I can about, you know, what people's expectations should be.
Yeah. So better than 0.5% then, basically.
Just a bit, yeah. I mean, it's just insane. Like, people having money in their bank right now, they don't realize they're actually losing value.
Yeah.
You know, it blows my mind, but you know, everyone's on their own journey.
Yeah, definitely. And like, you know, it's as somebody who's like pretty new to this space, like, and having, you know, some of the things that I've got into, like, you know, like Audius, for example, it went up 3x, like, you know, in about a day and a half. And that just absolutely blew my mind, you know, and that was probably actually one of the worst things that could have happened to me, because that happened early on, and then I just thought that everything was going to go on fire, right? So you can start to make some worse decisions, but obviously when you've got experts around about you, that can help. So so the last kind of question I've got for you about this in your live stream is. So lots of people are talking about like the crypto market crash, right? Because right now, like things have dropped. Like May, it was like, you know, it was an all-time high for Bitcoin, and obviously I got in February, right? So I've seen it like, you know, go all the way up and then, you know, come all the way back down.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are kind of like looking at that as well and saying, right, well, crypto's kind of over now. Like, you know, what's the next thing? Like meme stocks are like the next thing. Like, let's get into that. Like, you know, and people are also like, people will also feel a bit scared as well, because if you put some money into like an ISA, okay, it's pretty rubbish, like, you know, it doesn't go up very much, but like, you know, it's not going to go down, and you know that when you get into something like this, you're going to take an element of risk. But you know, a lot of people look at this and say, oh, we missed it, like it happened to me, and now it's over. Like, but what would you kind of like say to people who are thinking like that?
Well, it's you've got to look at the whole marketplace as a whole. You know, you've got to look at what the valuation of it is, and if you understand economics and you understand how much money there is in the world and the different marketplaces that are out there, you'll understand that this is just a drop in the ocean. I mean, we're talking about a $1.3 trillion market capitalization for this entire crypto market. Now, I've seen, because I've been in it for years, the infrastructure that's being built, okay, and I've seen the adoption that has taken over the last 12 months, and it's growing fast, but it's still right at the bottom of the adoption curve, and people don't get that. You know, there is a huge reason why so many banks and hedge funds and corporations and institutions are getting involved in this right now, and a lot of those still aren't actually in. Now, this whole thing with Elon Musk, okay, with the renewable energy and the ESG, again, that is going to be a pinnacle moment for crypto, because when that gets fixed, and it is being fixed, because there's already renewable energy sources that are out there, it's just a matter of implementing them more, because there are companies out there that already offer this with Bitcoin mining. So when that happens, lots of institutions are going to have their door open. But if we talk about just what's here now, okay, there's 650 banks in America that are going to be offering Bitcoin to their clients. And these aren't private banks. These are high street banks. Now, what you've got to think to yourself is this: we're at a moment now where the people that are showing an interest in this and looking into it further, and, you know, a bit more savvy with their investment, the moment that we've got here versus when the banks open it up and offer it, the growth that's going to be between the two is just going to be unbelievable. Because what's going to happen, this is my belief, when the banks offer crypto, suddenly everybody will want it. Because even though, you know, we don't really like the banks, that's the truth of the matter, people trust the banks. It's where they keep their money. So if the banks turn around, you get a letter through your door from Santander or Barclays or Lloyd saying, by the way, we now offer Bitcoin, that is the moment where people will be like, okay, I take this seriously. Whereas I think that there's still a very, very small community and a very, very small amount of people that can see the future benefit and growth in this marketplace. You know, it's going to be massive. There's going to be a tidal wave of money that comes into this marketplace. And I think when you start thinking about people like the Rothschilds, okay, the Rothschilds are one of the biggest elite families. They've got so much power and control from a monetary standpoint, and their investment corporation has increased their Bitcoin holdings by 300% since April. MicroStrategy have been accumulating. ARK Invest have been accumulating. You know, all that's happened during this market crash is all the weak hands have been shaken out, and we're coming towards the bottom before it's going to start rising back up again. And where we are right now, when the institutions start going in and buying, that's your time to buy. It's the best time to buy. Right now is the time to get in.
Okay, that is a great point. I want to just ask you about a couple of pieces of like jargon that are there, just to clarify them, because I understand what you mean, but some people will be watching that and thinking. So you mentioned like the weak hands are being shaken out, and the bottom is almost here, right? So
okay, I'll elaborate on that. Okay, and I'm going to do it in my style, because that's how I like to do it. The way I look at it is like this. Okay, you have dumb money. Now, dumb money is the people that go and buy when everybody else is talking about how great it is. That's when the dumb money comes into the market, and it tends to be right near the top. So what happens is you get elation phase or mode with investment throughout a market cycle, where everybody runs in, everybody's talking about how great it is, everyone's talking about how high it's going to go, and then they go in and they buy, and then the market comes down and corrects by 50, 60, 70%. Okay, and they get absolutely wiped out. They panic, they sell, and they'll sell anywhere from where they got in all the way down to the bottom, because it scared them and they weren't educated walking in. So that's, for me, shaking the weak hands out. That's the dumb money. The smart money is the institutions.
Sorry, Funsho, and you're talking about, like, we're talking about the top, we're talking about the price. Like, obviously, as the price, the activity and the interest goes, then the price goes up and up and up and up, and then it gets to a top. Yeah, so it gets to the highest price that it's been. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, so Bitcoin, for example, if we're talking about Bitcoin went to its highest ever, all-time high, which was just over $64,000. Now, at that point, there were a lot of people talking about how it would go to 100, 150, 200, 500. There were even people at CZ, who's the guy that owns the Binance exchange, the world's largest cryptocurrency exchange. He even said that he could see Bitcoin in the future going to 1 million. Now, what the issue is here is I believe every single one of those price speculations that have been given out are achievable. But are they achievable at that moment? No, they're not, because what you start to understand when you're looking at these charts and understanding a market cycle is when everything's flying up and everyone's talking about how great it is, that's the time when you've got to think to yourself, okay, I might need to pull some profit out here because we might be getting towards the top. And then it will come back down, the price will come down. Now, that price correction, just to put it out there for everybody as well, we tend to see 6 to 7 corrections per year in this crypto market at the moment. As it moves on and continues to mature, they will become less. But at the moment, they're anything from 30 to 40% roughly, okay, those corrections that will happen. The rises far outweigh the retractions. However, those retractions happen and those are opportunities. But when you have things like that happen, people that have bought near the top, their initial shock without education and understanding how these market cycles work is to sell. So they start a sell-off or a cascading effect, like dominoes falling, where all of these people keep selling because they're panicking. And then when it reaches the bottom, which will be the price that Bitcoin hits before it starts having upwards momentum again, that's when your institutions come in. So that's why when I spoke about the Rothschild Investment Corporation and ARK Invest and MicroStrategy, these are huge corporations that are not buying a few grams worth of Bitcoin, they're buying it by the hundreds of millions. So they're buying huge amounts. And that is an accumulation phase. So the more they keep buying and accumulating, that's when you're going to get a market sentiment shift where people say, oh, actually, the market's starting to move back up again. And then as it goes up and up and up, the likelihood is that we're going to hit new all-time highs like we have done previously and historically, and history tells us, and that's what we have to go by, okay, because none of us have got a crystal ball, but history tells us when you take a step back and look at a 5-year chart, you know, a 10-year chart, this has always been the case. It goes up to a point, retracts a bit, then it goes up higher and retracts a bit and goes up higher again and continues that trend. So we are near the bottom at the moment, getting ready to take the next leg up, in my opinion.
Cool. Awesome. Well, it sounds like that was a great answer, a great explanation. I'm glad that you took the time to go in and explain some of that, because obviously one of the things that I've had coming into this is that there is a lot of jargon and a lot of things to get your head around about. And actually one of the things that's been useful about being in the We Coach Crypto group is actually the psychology of all this. You know, like when a market goes down, it's easy to be like, oh no, like what have I done? This is bad. Like I'm gonna your instinct. I've got let's just sell everything and get out of this. But actually, that's when you actually want to be accumulating. You want to be making some new purchases, and then having been through that, you know, multiple times, you then feel like an absolute rock star. Like, you know, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks, 2 months later, or whatever, because what you bought at 10p a shot's now 40p a shot, and it's great. So that's been really useful for me as well. Well, I'll hand it over to you to end the live stream, Funsho, and let people know. I guess if people want to find out more about this, you can fill them in on what you do.
Thank you. I was going to just add on to what you'd said as well, because I think it's important. It's like when people first come into this, like you just said, Alan, it's like when you see something in the red, there's panic, but like we all rub our hands together. It's like, yes, the market's down. It's like it's a strange thing to comprehend looking at it as someone that's not got the experience yet, but it's amazing when that happens, because you know you're in a position to make even more money, and you're also the dollar cost averaging. You're bringing the cost at times of your project purchases lower, because there are times where you've bought certain coins. I mean, yeah, I know you have as well, Alan. You buy a coin, then the market drops, and then you've gone in and bought more. So you've actually averaged the price down even lower. So when it goes back up, you're making even more profit, which is fantastic. But Alan, thank you so much. I've really enjoyed this live stream. And yeah, for everybody that is taking any form of, you know, I don't know what the best word to use is, but if you're taking value from the information that's been shared in this video, all I would ask is please share it, and please give us a like, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell. But what's really important to us as well is if you've got any questions or you've got any comments that you want to leave, or you need any help, please put it in the comments below, because we're more than happy to help people. We've got a free cryptocurrency mastermind group on Facebook. You can take advantage of that. We share information and knowledge in there on a regular basis. We obviously do a lot of videos like this too. But if you are interested in taking things seriously with your investment, and you want to work with people that have got experience, you want to build yourself a portfolio, or you want to learn how to trade the markets, or you want to do both, then please get in contact with us. All our information is underneath this video, and I look forward to catching you all in the next one. Thank you very much, Alan.
Thanks, Funsho. Cheers.